Last week the Exodite finished and I was pretty disappointed with it, so I ran a poll to see what you lot thought of it, and the results were pretty much as expected. There were a few people that loved it, a few people that thought it was absolutely terrible, but most of the responses were okay, veering towards not good, which is, that's not great for what was meant to be a flagship animation for Warhammer Plus, but hopefully Games Workshop will learn from that and try to do better the next time. I'm glad that some people loved it, I'm sad that some people hated it, but the middle of the road response just shows that it was not as good as it could have been. Various theories abound as to why it was not actually that good, varying from it being chopped up to get it out the door faster, to it just not being well written in the first place. That second one I'm not buying. Games Workshop know how to write a good Warhammer story, so that is not what happened in my opinion. There were so many weird things that happened. Space Marines appeared in all the original material but were nowhere to be seen in the final product, so it seems like a lot has changed over the last year or so. Also, it was originally meant to be dubbed for the Tau, but then it changed to actually being spoken by the Tau, so there were a few wee things that happened there as well. There's a great video by Yanovich who explains how they lengthened some of the animation sequences to fit more into the lip syncing of the Tau, because before they were speaking Tau and then they're speaking English after that, so they had to change the lengths of some animations to fit. So he's got a great video on that, explains all about it, and I'll leave a link in the description below, so you should definitely go and watch that. It's very interesting. I think if they'd left it as a subtitled version, we would have been a lot happier. Gribble Greeble in the comments section made an excellent post about the Exodite and Warhammer Plus in general, so if you've got a few minutes, go and read that. It's quite a lengthy one, so I'm not going to go through it all here, but I'll go over the main points. For Gribble Greeble, the Exodite is a massive disappointment, and the last minute changes and the lack of communication for them is just indicative of Games Workshop as a company recently. They're not very transparent at all, and I think that feeds into more ill feeling towards them. They then went on to compare Warhammer Plus with the DC cinematic universe, which I thought was a bit harsh, but they ended with this line: "No matter how much I want Warhammer Plus to succeed and deliver what many fans hoped it could be, the Exodite conclusion was a mortal wound to it." And I agree with that. I think that the Exodite has been a big step back. We were all looking forward to it so much, and it just did not deliver what we wanted. We've already had Angels of Death, that was awesome, and this was nowhere near that, so it's a lot of time wasted, because that was, a year or two wasted on this animation that just didn't deliver what the fans wanted. I'm not saying the fans are always right, but after all, it is us that's paying our money, it is us you're trying to please, so if you don't do that, then it must be a failure. Trent, another regular viewer, stated that if he'd bought Tau and collected Tau, he would have returned them after seeing this because it painted them in such a poor light. The Exodite has done more for Imperial propaganda against the greater good than anything else, it would seem. It's a shame, it looked like it would be amazing. I know I'm going on about this a lot, but it's because it is, for me, the first big miss for Warhammer Plus animation-wise anyway. Ah well, can't all be Angels of Death. Now let's get on to the reviews. In Warhammer Vault, there's a moment in history. It's the Imperial Knight Companion, which was released in March 2014, I believe, to coincide with the release of the Imperial Knights for 40k. Now, this was probably the moment that dragged me right back into Warhammer, because I'd had a bit of a lull before then, but the Imperial Knights are just far and away my favourite models in 40k. I don't know why, I just love them. And the Imperial Knight Companion is so well done. There's 144 pages, they're all jam-packed with photography and lore, colour schemes, all that kind of thing. It's incredible the amount of work that's gone into this. I can't even imagine how long it would take to set up all these battle scenes, never mind have enough painted miniatures for them, because there's so many different types of knights and so many different colour schemes. This is one of my favourite Games Workshop books ever. I'm a big House Terran fan, and I've also tried my hand at House Mortan. Let me know which one you prefer, and I might paint more of them because I have tons of knights to paint, and that is for another video, but it'll be an interesting one. So just let me know which one's your favourite. The White Dwarves are particularly elvy this week, with High Elves and Dark Eldar. Now, these were released in 2010, which doesn't seem that long ago, but you could almost have had a teenager in the intervening years, so that's how long it's been. It's incredible. The big release for the High Elves was the Dragon Princes of Caledor, who ride horses, so that's a bit of false advertising, but they still look awesome as cavalry. Do you remember the days when the Games Workshop release schedule wasn't weekly? it was once a month or once every couple of months, and we used to get almost an entire range at once, and this is what happened with the Dark Eldar. You've got vehicles, you've got Kabbalite warriors, you've got racks, you've got everything in here. And there's also one particular peculiarity, and that was the Webway portal. I don't know if anyone's got any of these anymore. I think they were a very limited run, but let me know if you've got one of them, because I'd love to know if anyone actually bought these. Loremasters was all about the Ash Wastes, because that's an upcoming boxed game that Games Workshop are wanting to push. And don't get me wrong, I am for this. I want Games Workshop to tie it all in. When I buy a new product, I want to know as much about that product lore-wise and background-wise as possible, so they're definitely doing the right thing here. I wasn't a big fan of Ash Wastes when I first heard of it. I thought Necromunda is kind of like gang battles in tight spaces in a manufactorum or something like that, and I'm not that keen on the whole Mad Max thing, but from what I've seen, Ash Wastes will kind of combine the two, so it might be a winner for me. There was a lot in this I didn't know about at all. I've not read that much about the Ash Wastes, so it was a pretty good Loremasters and very well timed, and they're doing well on these. Masterclass was part 2 of the Avatar of Cain. I just assumed there would be 2 parts, but there's going to be another part at least, and it's coming along really nicely. It looks brilliant, in fact. I have got my avatar primed and ready to go, so I'm going to start painting him. I'm going to take techniques from a lot of places. Duncan Rhodes has got a great sword tutorial on how to do a burning sword with like charring on the sides and stuff like that. So I'm going to use that for the Wailing Doom, the spear, and I'm going to use a bit of the Warhammer Plus tutorial as well. It's going to be a mishmash of a lot of different places and also my own ideas. So I'm hoping it'll come out really nicely. Masterclass has become a real staple of Warhammer Plus. It's a disappointment when we don't get one. When we do get one, I watch it all the way through, and I think they've nailed it on this one. People can say there's other painting tutorials online. Yes, there are, but there are very few of similar quality because they get right into the detail. You can see every brush stroke, and it's getting better explained as well. Next week, I believe we get an episode of Interrogator, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll have a new animation to talk about. Let's hope it's not just a black and white hammer and bolter as a lot of people have suggested. Let's hope it's got a bit more substance than that. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Once again, thanks for watching, happy hobbying, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.